Hello everybody, welcome to What Culture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello, Scott.
Josh, my friend, it's been a good few months, which means it's time for another GTA 6 thing. Now, this one actually comes from someone who's a bit more reputable in the industry, one Tom Henderson, dude who's responsible for a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of Battlefield leaks. He, got out there ahead of Battlefield 2042 and said that was coming. Got out there ahead of Call of Duty World War II, said that Sledgehammer were going to be the developers on this year's Call of Duty. Dude has a lot of history of getting things right when it comes to leakers, so whoever he's been talking to seems like they know some stuff. And the recent update from him is something completely different. He dove into a bunch of GTA 6 stuff. Let's just break these down. I've sort of crunched this stuff down to four main points. The first one being that the game's map is actually going to be set, it's a modern setting with an evolving map. Now, there are comparisons to Fortnite made here. The idea being that the map itself will change over time. A whole bunch of DLCs, a whole bunch of add-ons will change it because Rockstar are very much factoring in the popularity of GTA Online. They want to make sure they have as much freedom as possible in regards to adding all sorts of different things to it over time. So it's not going to be set in the 80s. There's Vice City stuff is mentioned in here too. That Vice City will come to the game at some point in the future. So I wonder if the overall map is actually just going to be their take on Miami, like a wider chunk of Miami, because we've had that whole other leak of different portions in between cities being in there, more countryside stuff, and maybe they'll just add Vice City itself over time. What do you think of this madness?
Funnily enough, Scott Telford, we've talked a lot about GTA 6 on this channel, and specifically Vice City, and I feel like my opinions on what I want this game to be has evolved the further away we get from GTA 5. Like, initially, I was all here for an 80s-inspired return to Vice City, but that said, I've kind of already had that. Vice City, the PlayStation 2 game, is my favorite of that era, so if they're going to go back to Vice City, I don't just want them to retread what they've previously done, so to adapt that and to see how it has been updated in the 3 decades or whatever it is since that game was set, that sounds cool. Like, I think we've talked about it before, like the idea of updating it, seeing what's changed, seeing what's being built, seeing how Rockstar might expand upon it, and then, like you said, make it this evolving thing that you can plug things into later. Like, I am here for that because, for as much as I love these maps, and for as much as Rockstar returns to these maps, I do like it when they do it through a different perspective or through a different lens. We saw San Andreas, that was set in the 90s, and we got GTA 5, which was that blown out to a much bigger level in the modern day. So I'm here for that with Vice City. Like, that's something that makes sense, it's not surprising, and has turned up in a few other leagues, but is something that I think feels like a natural progression.
Yeah, the whole idea of doing the modern day setting and doing a modern day take on Vice City ostensibly, or a modern day take on their version of Miami, that stuff sounds cool. The evolving map thing and the Fortnite comparisons, I think are going to make people run for the hills, because for the longest time it was, what's that divide between mainline GTA before GTA Online became a thing, which only came in GTA 4 and was obviously maximized in GTA 5. But it's that whole thing of how much of the developers then focusing on the online aspects. There's a whole wing of the GTA fandom, including me, that doesn't give a hoot about GTA Online, that's only going to play the single player stuff. And so I'm not fearing for it yet, I'm not running for those hills, but I am curious about what their split is and whether they're designing a map that, maybe they plug in, they add some, new city-based content to it or whatever for the online mode, and you also have a single player story alongside that. Try and do it both simultaneously. That might be a way to tick both boxes at the same time.
Oh, dude, undeniably online is going to be a huge component of this. This game is getting built around that. There's just no way that's not going to happen. I don't necessarily want that. I still think they will focus heavily on single player because, like you say, that's a reason why it makes so much money, like, in the first few weeks. But online is why it makes so much money, like, 7 years after it came out. That's what gives it the legs, that's what gives it the longevity. And this idea of an evolving world, if you look at something like Fortnite, you don't want that to be brought over directly to GTA and have it dominate GTA Online. That said, Rockstar have been focusing on evolving worlds over their past few releases. You look at Red Dead Redemption 2, you wouldn't class that as an evolving world. But as you move through time in that game, you can see the world evolve around you. There are some buildings that are under construction and then they're fully formed when you get to, like, the epilogue, for instance. So if they treat it similar to that, but on a bigger scale, I think that would be really cool to just showcase the passage of time, keep the online suite interesting with new add-ons, like when they opened the casino finally in GTA 5 Online. If they can do more stuff like that, have it feel natural and, have it feel distinctly Rockstar, I don't think it's an issue. In fact, I think it would be quite good. It is only when they take if they did take the direct Fortnite approach of, oh, there's been a nuclear bomb, the entire place has changed. By going back in time, the zombies, that stuff is when it starts getting dumb.
It's Claude, it's Tommy, it's CJ, they're all coming through the wormholes.
There's been a wormhole.
Just watch out for it.
Yeah, so I do want to do that, but yeah, sorry, God.
No, the next big point is that it's actually, in very early stages of development, and the release date is pegged for 2024 to 2025. Now, the reason for this, actually, I'll get onto some other stuff because there's some platform stuff as well, but I will throw in another point alongside this, which is that they are going to do multiple protagonists again, like in GTA 5, with one of them being female, and the female character will be responsible for technology and hacking, and so they'll be sort of the brains of the operation, but Henderson doesn't mention whether that's a gameplay ability, because I kind of half forgot that GTA 5, the main characters have abilities, like Michael has the slow motion aiming, Trevor has the rage mode, and Franklin has the driving stuff where you can turn tighter like Need for Speed style, and I kind of wonder if they'll bring that in. But yeah, they're going to bring back the whole idea of multiple protagonists across the story, and they're going to do the GTA female protagonist. Let's freak out, sound the klaxon. It's been a long time coming.
Totally. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan of the multiple protagonist kind of approach that GTA 5 took. Yeah, I love it too. Like, I thought it was really cool. I thought it shook things up. I thought you got a bunch of different personalities in there. I think as long as the personalities and characters are well written, which in my opinion they were in GTA 5, they were at least very interesting and I enjoyed spending time with them. Like, that's cool. I think that's really interesting. Yeah, like you say, having a female protagonist in there, that does seem long overdue. I think that will add an interesting dynamic. And hopefully, as long as all of these characters and the mechanical approach to how you can switch between them is similarly ingrained in the structure of the game, like it was in GTA 5, where you controlled different people for different missions, different periods of times, and stuff like that. I think if you can expand upon that, you can get this. You can cast a wide net. Essentially, you can by having multiple different protagonists and characters and anti-heroes, appeal to every single GTA player, like they tried with GTA 5. And yeah, ultimately, I feel like, as much as I like the single protagonist in Grand Theft Auto, 5 kind of opened my eyes a little bit to this new world in a way.
And just for me, it's like you can do really cool things with it. Like I love the idea of someone being like an undercover cop or like a Fast and the Furious Point Break style, where someone is maybe trying to help the mob or trying to help the gangsters out whilst they're being a police officer as well, and you can jump between them maybe during a car chase, things like that. I wish they would flesh more of like the opportunities out. Like there was that one mission in GTA 5 where you were going into the skyscraper and you were switching between people as you were all infiltrating at the same time, and I want them to do way more stuff like that. What do you think of them waiting? It'll be over a decade if the 2024-2025 release date is true. What do you think of that?
That's what I expect at this point, Scott Tilford. When there were rumors that it might come out in 2020, it might be announced in 2019. Like, I used to get quite perhaps naively excited for that and buy into them, where at this point it's just the reality is that's not going to come for at least a good few years now, and they don't need it. I think Tom Henderson even says in his video, like, GTA Online still makes so much money. Grand Theft Auto 5 as a game still sells really well. They don't need this yet.
Outsells brand new games every single day.
It literally does. Always cracks back into the top 10 somehow. And lest we forget, Scott, we've got that bloody GTA 5 remaster coming to next-gen consoles at the end of this year. So that's going to expand its lifespan even more. So yeah, I don't expect this thing for a long time. And then you look at Rockstar's history, they had all of the teams working on Red Dead Redemption 2, which shipped in 2018. They were originally working on Bully 2, but that was cancelled so they could focus on Red Dead and then Grand Theft Auto. So yeah, they don't need it, and I hope when it comes out it will be big and expansive and hopefully worth the wait. And I think I hope they don't tease it. I hope we don't get to 2024 and then they're like, yep, he's a trailer. It's coming out in 3 years. Like, don't, please.
Like, I wonder that, because Dan Houser left, like, that was, for me, there's two things. Like, one is, I said to you before we started recording, I don't buy that the entirety of Rockstar have only been working on GTA Online content, like, since 2013. Like, I mean, it's just, like, I know we got Red Dead Redemption 2, and that would have been an all-hands-on-deck kind of thing at some point, or, over time, but it's just, you've got so many people, you're Rockstar, you're humongous, and, like, the fact that they're only in early development now makes me think of the other thing, which which is that I wonder how much Dan Houser's departure shook things up, because he'd be the guy that would be fighting for narrative investment, character drive, all the single player stuff, and just my headcanon for Rockstar and some of the stuff that I've read over the years, whatever, Sam Houser would be the guy going, we need to go down the multiplayer route and monetize everything and do that sort of thing. So I'm curious what the hell GTA 6 was, and I'm curious, for me, I think GTA 6 right now, because it says early in development, is a different thing than what it was over the last few years. I just think that they're now going to just steer full bore into GTA Online, because the lead creative designer, who I should have just said before, Dan Houser is the dude who helped write pretty much every Rockstar game that you care about, just including all the GTAs, including Red Dead, everything else. So what do you think of, I guess, that split between the houses and like the Rockstar's company direction going forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's like a question that keeps popping up, and it's one that I almost don't want to get too doom and gloomy about, because while obviously Dan Houser was a huge part. Mate. It is the season. While Dan Houser obviously was like the, spearheading the writing of it, some of the creative direction, the story structure and characters and stuff like that, he still had a team. He still had a team of the writers, and I hope that even though his influence without his influence, they will still understand the importance of single player. They'll still understand the importance of interesting characters, the tone of Grand Theft Auto, and the fact that people do come here not just for the gameplay and the anarchy, but for the world, the detail, the stories that are in there that we still talk about to this day. I don't think you can completely lose that. I'm sure Online is going to get 100% more focus than it did last time round, but I feel like, if they have a lackluster single player component, that will hurt them out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, I still love, I love the older GTAs more when it was even more wacky kind of thing. I like you mentioned Vice City, like Vice City, San Andreas, like the two top tier ones for me. And so I kind of hope they can tap back into that Dan Houser style of writing. Like you said, he always did have a writing team. It was always 2 or 3 different people. But even Leslie Benzies was still there back then, and he's since left Rockstar. There was a whole thing. The final point though is platforms. It is on PS5 and Series X and PC only. Apparently this also ties into the release date, because apparently Rockstar want to wait until there's a time where the majority of people have the next-gen systems. They want to design something for those systems and make sure that people can actually get access to it. They're also prioritizing employee well-being after the Red Dead Redemption 2 crunch stuff, and they want to make sure that everybody is being taken care of going forward when they put the game together. And yeah, it just seems like they're kind of just taking their time. Like we mentioned the popularity of GTA 5 before, but yeah, Henderson does mention that hundreds of thousands of people play this game every day, and its sales numbers, it literally outsells brand new games every single day. So it's kind of ridiculous. They've, Take-Two's Strauss Zelnick has talked about how it's this runaway behemoth that they didn't fully predict. Like they knew it would be popular, but it's popular almost. These aren't his words, but it is almost popular to a fault. He has commented on the fact that it's such an insane runaway thing that how do you phase it out? Do you try and transfer over to something else? What do you even do with it, or do you just continually plug things in for the rest of time?
I mean, I remember when I first started this job and we were talking about GTA Online and GTA 6 there, I remember he had a quote actually where he was talking about, at some point we're going to need to wind it down. We're going to need to give people time to miss Grand Theft Auto before we release the next one. And then about 2 years later, he was like, no, we don't need to do that. People love this game. We're making so much money. We're going to keep it on forever until 6 comes out. So yeah, I feel like, the other stuff you said in terms of the machines that it's coming out on, Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, I think it makes sense that, of course, it's going to be next gen only by the time 2023, 2024 rolls around. It'll future-proof them to no doubt make a version of it for the next gen that comes around in 2030 or whatever. And, the tidbit there about the well-being of the staff, I really hope that's right. I really hope that's true. Because, obviously there was the huge thing around Red Dead Redemption, but even before then, Rockstar's approach to 100-hour work weeks, or even if it's not that, pushing their staff to crunch and, really give everything to these games, whether it's Red Dead, whether it's GTA, whether it's Max Payne, whether it's whatever, that's well reported and well documented by then. So I hope that after all of those reports have come out, they have changed a few things around, and, at this point, I'm more than happy to wait a few extra years as long as the devs have a good time making it and can actually appreciate the product when it comes out.
Yeah. I think that's the whole side of it, where it's like the amount of money that GTA Online makes, there is no rush. There is literally no rush whatsoever. There's obviously the whole fan side. There's obviously the reality of there being more than a decade before the next installment comes. I just wish they would do other stuff. It doesn't have to be this massive multi-year long thing where we get these huge releases that just feel really opulent and dripping in production quality. Just do little small things. Where's the Rockstar that just put their money into the Warriors? Studios. Like, where's that? Just go find something and do little side projects and stuff. Like, they have enough staff to be throwing them all at GTA Online, but that's a whole other sort of separate conversation. But yes, let us know what you think down in the comments below of everything that we've covered so far. What do you want to see from GTA 6? Are you terrified of GTA Online's influence on the main product going forward? And just, what do you want? What do you think? Tell me what you think. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I mean, Joshua, WhatCulture.com.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.